First, A.J. Brown comes out and says that the passing game is a problem for the Eagles. Then we find out from Brandon Graham that the relationship between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts may be non-existent, may be damaged. What the hell is going on? Dallas still stinks. Yo, like the way kick Dingbat here, and the Eagles are 11-2. They are 11-2, and they are one game out of the number one seed in the NFC Conference. And you would think we would be focusing on Pittsburgh. We would be talking about how great everything is going. Instead, we're talking about craziness. We're talking about stuff that could really, really hurt a team, hurt a locker room, especially when you had a locker room a year ago that went into total collapse mode over things like this. What the hell is going on with the Eagles? What is going on with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and now Brandon Graham? And Brandon Graham, I love the guy. He came out on his radio show and he said some very interesting, intriguing things that we've got to try to make some sense of, okay? Let's first start this whole thing. Let's start by going to A.J. Brown's press conference. Well, not press conference, but his interview after the game, in which they ask him, you know, what's going on with this team right now, what's the problem? And he said it was a passing game. Now, a lot of people, well, this is what A.J. Brown said.
That the offense needs to improve on passing. What are the conversations like with Jalen during a game like this, where maybe the passing game isn't everything you want it to be?
Not too much conversation, honestly. I don't know.
So, a lot of people took that and they said, well, that's a shot at Jalen Hurts. He is going after Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts is the quarterback, okay? Now, me personally, when I hear A.J. Brown say this, my thought is, yeah, you probably shouldn't say that publicly. It's not a good idea. Keep that in-house. Keep that within the locker room. But I don't think A.J. Brown was trying to be a diva. I don't think he was trying to say it to be negative towards Jalen Hurts. I think he was just acknowledging something that we know. The Eagles' passing game is not where it should be, and it was really bad versus the Panthers. It's something they have to fix going forward. So we know that, and you would think that hopefully it would just die out and we would focus on next week. A.J. Brown said what he said. Well, things got even a little bit crazy tonight, and they're going to get much crazier during the week, I feel, because of what Brandon Graham said. All right, now shout out to Brandon Graham, one of the Eagles legends, a great guy, Mr. Positivity, right? He's usually positive. He usually thinks the best. He's upbeat, and he came out on his show on WIP, and he said some interesting things. This is what he said.
Person that's complaining need to be accountable, and I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he know this. I don't know the whole story, but I know that one is trying, and I mean, 11 could be a little better with how he respond to things. And they was friends before this. It's like, man, but things have changed, and I understand that because life happens. But it's the business side that we have to make sure that we don't let the personal get in the way of the business, and that's what we got to do better as right now, because we know it's an issue. Everybody's seeing some things, but we need to be able to talk things out as men. You know what I'm saying? But we need to let personal stuff go and let's get right for this game, because, man, it's like a lot of stuff, most of the time it's just a conversation that just need to be had, but the person with the problem got to want to talk to the person other than others. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so that is Brandon Graham, Mr. Positivity, a guy who's always upbeat, always positive, always a smile on his face, comes out on his show on WIP and says that. I know one is trying, and 11 could be better with how he responds to things. They were friends, but things have changed. Things have changed. What? Things have changed from being friends? What, they're not friends anymore? What in the Mark Holmes glizzies is this? What is going on? You know, you have to ask yourself that question. And you also have to ask yourself this question about the statements that he said. Why would Brandon Graham say that? That's the thing that really made me raise my eyebrows. Like, why would Brandon Graham say something like that? That's just something, you know, you have to wonder, okay? So, of course, this blew up. Everybody's talking about this, and it became a big, big issue, right? And then Brandon Graham, you know, he was seen at other events and stuff, and he was able to respond and kind of clarify his comments. And I think we've got to talk about the clarification of his comments before, you know, we talk about the whole thing in the situation. But here's what Brandon Graham said. Brandon Graham tonight at Connor Barwin and Chris Long's Foundation event wanted to clarify what he said on WIP radio. This is according to John Clark. Quote, I should have talked to them first without assuming what others said. I should have just kept it in-house, and I was wrong for talking about it. I want to win. I want to have a parade on Broad Street. Now, Tim McManus said this. Just spoke with Brandon Graham. He clarified his comments about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown's relationship. I just assumed about their friendship, and it made me out to look even worse because I had it all wrong, and now people are going to run with that. I really just want to win, man, and I want the brothers to be able to hash it out. I'm going to make sure I apologize to both of them. As for the overall message, Graham was trying to convey, quote, I wasn't trying to be divisive. I just didn't want us to use the media in a bad way. I can't do that either. If I got something to say, I've got to go to the people too. I made a mistake and I assumed that it was something that it wasn't. I just want to win so bad that I don't just want to use the media when we need to talk about something and we can fix the problems ourselves. I didn't add it in a good light, so that's my bad. So Brandon Graham, being the class act that he is, just took responsibility for everything he said. He just took total 100% responsibility for everything he said, and I think, yes, did his original comments suggest that those guys weren't friends anymore? Yes, it did suggest that. I don't think that's what he was saying. And I don't think that is the case of the matter. I don't think it's because they're not friends anymore. But clearly, they're both frustrated with the passing game, and they've got things to work out. I think it's fair to say that, okay? Now, you know, A.J. Brown probably... yeah, he probably should have kept it in-house, in locker room. Okay, that was the first thing. But Brandon Graham saying what he said, of course, it made it worse because now everybody, you know, national media is going to pick it up and it's going to be talked about all week. And, you know, this gives people flashbacks. Like, why is this a big deal, or why am I feeling the need to do a video about it right away? Because this gives people flashbacks, especially us Eagle fans, of last year. And we remember, it started with like one problem, and then it became something else. Then it became something else. Then it became something else. And everything snowballed, and we went from a team that was 10-2 to a team that totally collapsed, won one more game the rest of the year, and then we collapsed. We just fell, and we stunk. We stunk. We lost to Arizona. We lost to the Giants. Got killed by Tampa. So when you see this happening again, and you see this rearing its ugly head, you think, oh no, we can't have this happen again. We can't have this at 11-2 happen again. And so now we are going to find out what Nick Sirianni is as a head coach. What did he learn from last year? Because when this stuff started last year, and it might not have been A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts drama, but it started with what? Your firing of your defensive coordinator. Then it was that. Then it was something else. And then it just snowballed. Nick Sirianni has to nip this in the butt, and he has to do it right away. Get A.J. Brown, get Jalen Hurts, get them in behind closed doors, and let them hash it out until they come up with a resolution. They got to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying I think that they're at each other's throats or they're not friends or anything like that, but clearly they are frustrated with the passing game. Clearly, A.J. Brown is frustrated. And like I said, I didn't take his comments to be diva-ish. I don't think he was trying to do that. I just think he was really being honest about how he felt. He just should have done it behind closed doors, perhaps. And I know Jalen, of course, is not happy with the way he played. The Panther game was his worst game of the year. I know he's had other games where he's turned over the ball, but this was the worst I've seen him look because he wasn't seeing the field well. He was holding on to the ball too long. Many times when guys were open, he wasn't throwing the ball. And I think this game comes on top of basically like a month where I think you've gotten really inconsistent play from Jalen Hurts. You get a really bad first quarter. Then if you look at some of the games, second quarter, he has a really good second quarter. Then the third quarter, not so good again. Then the fourth quarter, it's good. It's like almost by quarters in which he's been struggling. So I think there's been inconsistency there, and it's been getting worse. And I think hopefully, this is the end of it. But it all blew up versus the Panthers because that was his worst outing. They got to nip this in the butt, and they got to do it right away. Nick Sirianni got to get this stuff figured out because the worst thing you want is, the Eagles, these guys to be upset with each other or frustrated but not talk it out, and then something else, and then you get another player to leak something out, to the media, then they go with that, and then it becomes one story, then they're responding to that, and then it just snowballs into something else, and then boom, here you go, another historical collapse. That can't happen again. That can't happen. This team is 11-2, one game behind the Detroit Lions, who play the Buffalo Bills this week, who Bills are coming off a loss. They might beat Detroit this week. Eagles, everything is out in front of us. And I truly believe the way the Eagles come out versus the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be huge. I have to see this team come out angry, ready to play, fired up, focused. Okay, if they come out and they got, they're shaking their head, their shoulders are low. Just some of the things that we saw last year during the Eagles collapse. If we see those things going on against Pittsburgh, we've got a real problem. Okay, I don't expect it to happen, but I expect this team to answer the call versus Pittsburgh. This Pittsburgh game, to me, is important. Not just because it's a good team and you need another win, but to me, you've got to show the ability to move on past this kind of stuff. Because last year, you didn't. Last year, you failed at this. Last year, the coach, this is where I had a big problem with Nick, was the way that he lost the team. The way that they lost it at the end of the year, and he had no answer for it. I don't think that's going to happen again, but this kind of stuff has to be dealt with immediately, has to be dealt with, nipped in the butt, because if it lingers and it festers, we're going to have a big problem later on in the year. They've got to take care of it, all right? I also want to say, I think the first quarter problems are huge in this whole thing. I think that the way they come out and play in the first quarter is 50% of the issues here, okay? The other part is that Jalen Hurts just has not been consistent enough as a passer. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think he can win. That doesn't mean that I think, we got to bench him or we got to do something crazy. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is he's got to raise his game up. He's got to be better than what he's been, especially early in the game. And yes, he's got to continue to not turn over the ball, but he's also got to make sure that when these guys are open, he's getting them the ball when they're passing the ball. They've got to do it. And I also think that the Eagles have to change to accept their identity. I think sometimes this team comes out and they want to be a pass-first team who's going to go air it out, and that's what the style they want to be. But in actuality, that's not the style you are. You are a team that bases everything off the run. Let the running game open up the passing game. Don't be afraid to come out, run Barkley earlier than you have been. Don't be afraid to run him consistently early in the games. Don't be afraid to put Hurts under center. Use play action fake to Barkley, not Gainwell. Roll Hurts out more. Do different things like that. Keep it up tempo. They've got to do things to get this offense going earlier in the game. And I really think if you do that and you kind of get the offense into a rhythm and Hurts, I think the passing game will be much more effective. All right, Hurts. What we've seen, over the course, I would say, the last month of his passing game, I think he's a lot better than that. I do. I'm not saying he's Mahomes or Burrow or anybody like that, but I think he's better than what we have. I think he's good enough to win a Super Bowl. I truly do. But they got to go out and do it. And it's going to start with nipping this crap out now. Don't keep it. Don't let it fester. Get rid of it immediately. That's what the Eagles have to do. With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision, baby. We're all just living in it. All right, so everybody's been asking me to show the kittens. Well, the kittens are 6.5 weeks old, and this is John McClane. That's right, we call him John McClane because this cat jumps from wherever. It doesn't care. It leads the pack. It fights. It does whatever. It dies hard. This cat don't play. This cat's my buddy, John McClane, right here from Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay, mother humpers, right? Say hello. Say hello, McClane. Say hello. He's ready to jump. If I let go of him, he'll jump right off my shoulder. He don't care. He don't care. He's John McClane. He's Die Hard. All right. With that said, Denzel Washington, John McClane, we out. That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.